Hi there, grade 10s, and welcome to module 2.4, where we are now talking about electronic communication. Now, in this, we are going to be looking at things like email, ISPs, Netiquette, social networking sites. Not that you need to know more about that, instant messaging, etc. So let's dive in. Now, first and foremost, when we talk about e-communication, we are talking about all forms of electronic communication. That's the big thing behind this. We're talking about electronic communication, just like when we talk about e-commerce, we're talking about electronic forms of commerce or doing business. Now, this is the process by which computers and other communication devices are used to exchange messages and or digital data. So obviously the first one, big one that we have is email. Now, this is dealing with composing, sending, and receiving of messages electronically over a network such as the internet. We use email software to type in the recipient's address. So, who are you sending the email to? The electronic mail. Who are you sending this to? The same way that you in the past would send a normal letter. I don't know if any of you even remember that, but a normal letter, you would have to put in the person's address on the envelope where it must go to. Then, once you're done with that, and you send it along, the message first goes to the email server at your own ISP. So if you are, for example, with, let's use MTN or Frogfoot or someone like that, the email that you're sending goes to your ISP. Then your email ISP will send it through, or the email server at your ISP sends it over to the one at the other person's. Let's say that one is going to Gmail. So it'll go to that ISP, and then the message gets downloaded to the recipient. So just understand how that works with regards to email. Now we have a number of different examples. We've got Microsoft Outlook, you've got Mozilla Thunderbird, Gmail, Apple Mail. Just be able to at least give two examples of your email platforms. Okay. Then on that, we have ISP email versus web-based email, and we just need to understand the difference between the two. So when we talk about web-based email, we're talking about email that has to be accessed using a web browser anywhere where there's an internet connection, right? It must be online to access the account. That's the whole point of web-based. It means it's on the internet. Now, it might be free. You might have a small charge, or you might just be paying for the data or the internet access, but you are using a web browser and you have to access it online. So you have to be connected in order to do that. Your ISP-based email, it's a bit different. It's set up on the local computer or whichever device you are using the appropriate software, and can be accessed without being online. So for example, Microsoft Outlook, you would install that software on your PC and you would download your email. Now you can still go into your email, you can still go and check your email, the emails that are there, without being connected to the internet. Then when you are connected to the internet, it'll just download and send and receive everything that it needs to. There is a monthly ISP charge plus internet access costs associated with this. Right. Now, we've all seen email addresses, and in this model, they just want us to also get to understand the different parts of a typical email address. So everything you see before the @ this, for example, learningwithus@gmail.com. Learning with us, this is the username. So whatever you put here, John536, hardware 789 hash, whatever the case may be, whatever's here before the @ and that is going to be the username. It's then separated by the @ and this section here would be the email provider. In this case, we can see that the username Learning with Us has an account at Gmail. Right, so let's look at one or two more. Here we've got mary.jones@mweb.co.za. So we have the username. The username is mary.jones. Again, this section, this @mweb here, is the service provider. So where's this account of Mary Jones? Where is it at? It is at MWeb. The .co.za, the .com, the .co.uk, all these type of things, they represent something as well, because when we go .co, we're talking about the type of organization. In other words, this is a company. And where's this company located? .za, .z Africa, geographical location. In other words, this is where it is located in the world. So we've got Mary Jones, who has an account, an email account at MWeb. MWeb is a company, and that company, in this case, is located in South Africa. Now, this whole section here is also known as your domain. So if they ask you what is the domain of Mary Jones' account, in this case, it's mweb.co.za. Let's look at another one. John Strong. What do we find here? This is the username. It's separated then by our @ but this @ with a Gmail, that is our service provider. Then we've got the type of organization. So in this case, there's no geographical location, but we've got the type of organization, which is .com. It's a commercial website. And again, this whole section behind the @ is known as your domain. So let's look at some of the practical uses of email. Now, we know emails can be used for sending, receiving, replying, and forwarding messages. And for those who have been in Gmail, let me maybe just go to mine. Here is Gmail. And if I want to send an email, you can see I can click on compose, and there it's going to come up. And I can put in the relevant address and subject and body. And there you can see it's exactly the same. So I can click on compose, go to my field. Now, I've also got my CC and BCC. Remember what this is. This is a carbon copy. This is a blind carbon copy. So what that means is if I use CC, it means that I want to send the email not only to, let's say I'm sending an email to my wife. I'm not only wanting to send it to her, but I want to send a copy to my son as well. Or with BCC, maybe I want to send an email to my son, and I want to blind copy my wife. In other words, she receives a copy of the email, but my son doesn't see it. Okay, so that's the difference between the CC and the BCC. I've then got my subject field, and then I've got my message area. And once I'm done with all of that, I can then click send, and my email is sent. Then reading a message. So obviously I can go to my inbox. I can double click on a particular message. If I use the same thing over here, I can click on a message, and there it displays. I can go to any one of these. I can click on it, and then it will open. Okay. Sorry. Unread messages are displayed in bold. Okay. So if I've got a message that has not been read, you'll see it immediately. They usually indicate in the inbox as well. So when replying to a message, messages will have the option for you to reply and forward. So obviously when I'm replying, I can fill in what I want the subject to be. Automatically it usually starts with a re, and then that's usually added to your subject field that's there. But I mean, if you want to change that, you can. If you go and please, here's the difference now, reply and reply all. So if I receive an email that has been sent to 5,000 people and I click reply, it's only going to reply to the original person, the one who sent it. However, if I click reply all, it will send a reply to all the addresses in the to and into the CC field. So yeah, just be careful of what you are doing. The original message will be visible, and you can then type your reply above. And a good practice is just to leave the original message, which allows the recipient to keep track of the correspondence. Okay, then forwarding a message. Obviously, we don't forward chain letters and hoaxes. We simply click on the forward button. The FW is automatically added to the subject field. And it's usually good practice to delete unnecessary addresses of people who've received the message before you forward it. This is why just take a few moments to think and to check before replying and forwarding and sending emails. Okay, the same goes for messages on WhatsApp and social media posts and things like that. Just take a little time and think. Right, then we have attachments as well. So the email applications allow you to attach files to the messages. Program files, unfortunately, with an extension of .exe sometimes are not allowed because of the virus risks, and there is a limitation on the size of the attachments. Now, I know different email applications use or have different limits. I know sometimes with Microsoft Outlook, it could be something like 5 megs at times, and Gmail, yes, 25 megs. These numbers could have changed already, but there are limits on that. So you would need to find that out before obviously sending that email. If the email has an attachment that's too big, it'll usually tell you that, or when it sends the email, it'll just bounce back and say, listen, it can't be delivered. Now, to attach a file here, they show us that when we go into Gmail, we can just click on that little paperclip icon over there. So let me just get mine open. Let me compose a new message. And you can see over there, not there, there's my paperclip, and I can then go and I can add whatever I want to. Let's say I'm going to add that. There it loads it, and it's attached. Okay, so there you see, we click the attach icon, a dialog box appears, we locate the file, click open to attach, and then when we're ready to send, we send. Now, when we receive an email that has an attachment, we first open the message. The attachment is then shown as an icon with the name of the file. We save that to the computer and then open the file. Now, sometimes you can just double click on the attachment and it just opens. You can then decide whether you want to keep it or delete it. However, please do not open attachments in messages from people you do not trust or people you don't know. If you have not seen that email address before, if you don't recognize it, if the subject is a bit weird, if something doesn't feel right, might contain a virus, might be harmful, so you just don't open it. You rather just delete it. Now, there are other modes of e-communication, our social networking sites, which we don't even have to talk about. But these are just interactive websites where individuals and organizations can post their likes and dislikes and follows and all these lovely things. Photographs and activities for friends and interested parties to read and to respond to. We've also got instant messaging and chat applications. I don't know if people are still doing things like chat rooms. That was a while back. But the whole idea behind these is that it allows you to chat to the person in real time. Different to email. Remember, email, you've got to send it, the person receives it, then they open it. Whereas with your instant messaging, you can message now and the person can see you type in, the person can see that you've sent them an audio file or you've been typing something, they can see that you've read it, all these different things. So yeah, instant messaging has made a big change in the way we do things. Then we've got blogs as well, web blogs, where websites that are updated regularly with news and events. It reads like a journal with the most recent entries at the top. And it's not always just personal. It can also be used by businesses and citizen journalists, etc. Besides that, we also have forums. Now, this is similar to a news group, but it's a lot more formal. Forums are there for professional purposes, and they're usually used to share ideas and solve problems with people working within the same environment. So, for example, if we had a forum for IT or computers, then I could actually go to a computer tech forum and I could say, listen, man, I'm having a problem with a Mesa monitor. This is what it's doing. This is the model number. And folks then within the industry who would then be part of that forum would be able to give their advice, say, listen, man, I've had the same problem. And these can be people from not only a similar area to yours, but they can be folks that have had the same problem from around the world. So the forums are quite helpful, especially to the IT folks. So we've mentioned instant messaging. We said, it's similar to your chat groups as responses are immediate. You have more control over who can send to you and receive your messages, right? We can block them. Okay. Then the last section deals with Netiquette and email. And we're talking about the correct way to be sending emails, sending messages, things like that. So the message that you are sending must be clear and error-free. Don't type messages in capital letters because it can come across as if you are shouting. Files attached to a message must be virus-free. So when you are sending a message, think about the other person. Don't purposefully go and attach viruses. Like, scan your stuff. Make sure that you are sending, things that are going to function properly and be of a benefit, not to harm anyone. Never be insulting in a message. If you wish to tease someone, use an emoticon or emoji to show that you are just teasing. You lot are young people. You are teenagers. Understand this. Not everyone has your sense of humor. Not everyone can read between the lines. And it is very, very easy to misinterpret a message from someone. So, try to use those emoticons and emojis to show that, I'm just joking. While I say this, I'm like just joking about it. Okay. They say use emoticons and emojis only in informal correspondence. You're not going to send your teacher, if you're WhatsApping a teacher, a message with, all the emoticons and all this type of thing. We want to keep things friendly but professional. Okay. Never pass on chainmail, hoaxes, or spam. We don't do that. Large attachments. If you're going to attach something fairly big, rather contact the person and find out, listen, man, I'm not going to be able to send this via email. How can I send it? Well, there's Dropbox. There's, I think, what was the other one? There's various other platforms that allow you to send fairly large files and attachments as well. And then be careful of passing on personal information via email. Okay? Be very careful of that. Also, use good manners, because the use of good manners and showing respect for others is just, how can I say, it's just common sense. It should be common sense when using the internet. In fact, having good manners and showing respect should be something that human beings should be doing to one another on a daily basis. Sorry, that's just my side note. Okay, so you want to think before you post. Please think before you post. Don't just post. Don't post when you are emotional. Don't post when you are angry. Because you'll end up saying things and posting things. And once it's out there, even though you take it down, just like the words that come out of your mouth, it's already hurt the individual. Others have seen it. People have shared it. Trust me, I was talking to my learners yesterday, and I mentioned to them that when you have, for example, I'll use the example of a WhatsApp group. When somebody in that group sends something that is, let's just say, like completely different, like completely rude, maybe they've sent some below the belt picture onto the group or something like that. You have people who will say nothing. You have others who will message one another behind the scenes to say, did you see what so-and-so put on the group? And that person might have no idea. It might have been an accident or something like that. And nobody says anything. Nobody does anything. And then someone has to contact that individual and say, sorry, man, I think you sent, the wrong picture to the wrong group. And, obviously they're going to be embarrassed. They're going to take the picture down. But maybe the person wasn't even thinking when they sent it. Maybe it wasn't, like I said, an accident sent to the wrong group. So just take your time and think before you post. Also, before you want to hurt someone online. Think about this. Would you be happy if this was placed on a public poster? Would you be happy for the adults in your immediate circle, your parents, your teachers, to see what you are posting? Is this the kind of information that reflects who I am? So if you're posting something nasty, does that say something about you? And would you be happy, and this is very important, for your prospective employer to see this? Many employers these days are looking through people's social media accounts to see who they really are. And then I found this, which is 10 core rules when it comes to netiquette. Things like spell check, proofread your email before sending it, right? So that there's no embarrassing typos. We said don't use all caps. Tell the truth. Be yourself. Do not flame. I say here, remember we dealt with flaming? Sending an email many times is not only irritating, it could bottleneck the recipient's computer network. Don't send or respond to spam. Don't send an email when you are tired. Only surf and shop on secure and well-known sites. Use your discretion online. If it feels wrong to you, it probably is. The use of abbreviations, the last one, and emoticons is fine if your email is of a personal nature, but you should avoid them when the email is of a work or public nature. So just taking a little bit of time to make sure that when you are sending that message and sending that email, you are not going to regret what is being sent out. And folks, this is e-communication.